Hi, friends. Welcome to episode 3 of The Burly Nathan Show. Thank you so much for tuning in and continuing this journey with me. As always, you can find me online on Instagram and TikTok at Burly Nathan. And be sure to subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think of the show. It would greatly help us out. If you are a performer or a sponsor or somebody who just wants to get involved with the show, just find me at Burly Nathan on Instagram, shoot me over a DM, and I would be happy to chat with you. Now, tonight is going to be special. Well, I say tonight, it could be anywhere, wherever you're listening. Our guest today is one of my favorite performers here locally in the Tampa Bay area, Ktwo LeMew. Ktwo and I have done tons of shows together, so I thought, hey, why not invite him on and we'll chat about our histories and things that we have done. So keep listening, and you'll hear that interview in just a little while. Now, before we get to all the fun this evening, I do need to mention, make sure to head on over to adamandeve.com and use promo code BURLY at checkout to get 10 free gifts, free shipping, and so much more. So, are you ready for better sex? Here's the deal. I have got an offer for you. Go to adamandeve.com right now and get a whopping 50% off most items there just from using a promo code that is associated with my show. So, you go on adamandeve.com, you pick out your favorite things that you want to buy for a special someone or just buy for yourself. Go through checkout, use promo code BURLY, that's B-U-R-L-Y, and you'll get 50% off whatever's in your cart. I'm not sure what you're going to put in it. Some things may not be available because they're on sale. I don't know. Just go to the website, use promo code BURLY, B-U-R-L-Y, at checkout. You'll get 50% off. You'll get free gifts. You'll get, I think it's like 3 bonus items, 6 movies, and free shipping, all for you. Everything there is completely discreet, so you can order whatever suits your fancy directly to your house, completely and totally discreetly. adamandeve.com, use promo code BURLY, B-U-R-L-Y, at checkout. It will benefit our show, and you'll get a great deal. So do it now. If you're listening before Valentine's Day, well, here's your opportunity to get some last-minute gifts. If you're listening after Valentine's Day, here's your opportunity to make up for the gifts you didn't get. So do this now. Head to adamandeve.com, use promo code BURLY, B-U-R-L-Y, at checkout, and you'll get 50% off and a whole lot more. All right, so what's new? Okay, so this past weekend, I was super honored to be asked to MC a show called Sweet Cheeks, which was a dessert-themed burlesque show that happened at my Enchanted Events venue over in Orlando, and it was such a great show. There were some incredible performers. I actually got to wear a costume, which was the least I've worn on stage in a very long time. Or really, if ever. I was down to my skivvies and some boots and some knee-high socks. I was adorable. If you haven't seen the photos, you can head over to my Instagram at Burly Nathan and you can see what went up there. Had a great weekend in Orlando and got to do a lot of awesome things. There's so much arts and entertainment in Orlando, and I'm excited to try out some more things and see some more shows there locally. I'll be emceeing some more shows over in Orlando down the line, and hopefully some of you folks can come out and see them. If you follow me, like I said, on Instagram, you can see all of my upcoming shows and things we have going on. So an interesting thing about my life is, if you don't already know this, I co-own an entertainment and burlesque company here in the Tampa Bay area, ND Theatricals, and we are also doing some master classes on our website. So if you go to ndtheatricals.com, you look at the About section, it drops down, and you'll see a tab for master classes. We have a few amazing performers that are doing some master classes that you should absolutely check out. Most of them are virtual. Some of them might actually be in person down the line. But if you head to ndtheatricals.com, check out our masterclasses and sign up for some of them. If you are new to burlesque, if you're new to theater, if you're new to the arts, this might be a great opportunity to learn some skills that you could take and use in practical applications just really anywhere. So go check those out. We've got some amazing ones coming up down the line. You can check our website and see what we have coming up and sign up. These educators are amazing, and they are doing what they are preaching. A lot of them are teaching classes based on their type of performing or whatever they're into in the arts. So go check that out and sign up for some amazing masterclasses. Now, I had mentioned before that I emceed a show in Orlando this past weekend, and this coming up week on Valentine's Day, which it's a few days from Valentine's Day now, I am hosting Hard Heart Burlesque's 2-year anniversary and Valentine's show happening at McCurdy's Comedy Theater in Sarasota. So if you happen to be listening to this before the 14th, get your tickets. I think we're almost sold out. There's like a handful of seats left, which is awesome and also incredibly nerve-wracking because it's a big space. I've actually seen some big-time comedians in that same space, so I'll be emceeing a show where a lot of incredible performers have been over the years. It's a very humbling experience to know that I'm not nearly as funny as any of them, but I'll be up on stage telling jokes and singing original songs and things right where some comedy legends have performed, instrumental music legends, burlesque legends, they've all performed on that stage. So be sure to go follow Hard Heart Burlesque on Instagram and see all their amazing shows that will be coming up at McCurdy's Comedy Theater in Sarasota. They've got one, I believe, every quarter, so get your tickets. They always sell out. And I mean, since I'm promoting burlesque shows right now on this show, I might as well promote my own. On April 12th and 13th of this year over at the Palladium Theater in downtown St. Petersburg, we are super excited to bring back A Night of Classic Burlesque Volume 6 on the 12th and 13th. So we have two different shows, two different casts each night. It'll be the same vocalist, the same band, but we're bringing in some awesome performers from all over the area to come and entertain you. Now, these shows sell out every single time. There has not been a single one of these, with the exception of our circus show, that did not sell out a week or so before opening day. So get your tickets. Go to mypalladium.org. This is the Palladium Theater in downtown St. Petersburg, Florida, on April 12th and 13th of this year. It'll be hosted by Poppy Bubbles, who was our MC, or excuse me, the very first guest we had here on the Burly Nathan Show, episode 1. Check Poppy out. You will be able to, it'll make sense how Poppy was on the show if you come see our show at the Palladium. We might even take clips from that show and put it on the podcast down the line. But anywho, get your tickets. Go to mypalladium.org, April 12th and 13th of this year for A Night of Classic Burlesque, Volume 6. Let's see, what else? Oh, you know, what's interesting, after I spoke about my weight loss journey and all of that on the last episode, I had some folks write into me on Instagram about how happy they were that I was being transparent about the process and how all of that goes. And I know I'm nobody important, but I'm just somebody online who is changing their lifestyle up a little bit to feel healthier and to feel better about, you know, who I am as a person and how I look and how I present myself. And I had somebody say that they were happy about the transparency. So I'm going to kind of talk about that a little bit more. So this last weekend or so, I splurged a little bit. And I didn't lose any weight over the past week or so. I think I'm down maybe 1 or 2 pounds. I'm trying to do about 5 pounds a week. I know that sounds like a lot, maybe to some people, but for the way that I'm trying to do things, that seems about how I need to be. And over this past weekend, I indulged a little bit and was enjoying myself. So this week I'm going to hit it hard. I actually have been doing the intermittent fasting. I've been doing fasting on Mondays and Thursdays, and it's been actually pretty good so far. I think there's only been one day where I've been like, I can't fucking do this. I need something. I need something to satiate me because I was just not doing great. But for the most part, I think with the exception of that one day, it's been pretty smooth sailing. The intermittent fasting seems to be working out pretty well. But for those of you who were telling me that they're listening and this was encouraging them to, you know, make changes of their own, that's awesome. I'm, like I said, I'm nobody special, but I'm trying to do some things this year to clear my mind, to eat better, to think better, to just be better as a person. We're actually contemplating going plant-based in the house. So this past weekend, Taryn found a plant-based cookbook that she's going to attempt to make some awesome recipes out of, and I'm interested to try it. If you don't know me personally, and those of you who do are probably listening to me right now going, oh, he just wants chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. I've been known as the chicken nugget mac and cheese guy for so long because my palate is that of a fifth grader. But I'm trying these days to branch out more and to try things that are healthier and that are just tastier. And maybe, who knows, I'll find something that is good for me that I actually want to eat on the regular. One thing I've been trying is salmon. I love salmon, and I'm making some within the next couple of weeks, again, here at home. But yeah, just give it a try. I mean, if somebody like me whose diet was mostly pizza and mac and cheese for so long, I mean, I'm sure that you could try something out and you know, see what worked for you. If you have tried something and you want to, you know, reach out about it and chat with me, once again, you can find me on Instagram at Burly Nathan. I'd be happy to discuss that with you. But yeah, it's going well so far, and I had my very first therapy consult last week, so I'm hoping that will turn into something cool too. So, Burly Nathan here to let you know that if you want to make changes in your life, you absolutely can. I'm not saying that I'm doing it completely and totally without any sort of, you know, failures here and there. I'm not a perfect person, don't plan to be, and all I'm doing is just, you know, being a better person for myself first and foremost, and then, you know, doing better for the folks around me. So I think anybody can do it if they really put their minds to it and just try hard. So I'll keep you guys updated on my progress as we go. A few people have asked, and I appreciate you taking the opportunity to try to get involved with what I'm doing and to check in on me. So I appreciate that. A lot of folks have reached out about the podcast, and I am so thrilled at the amount of people that have wanted to join me on the show and who have agreed to. So today, actually, I'll be able to announce that, so we have tonight's episode with Ktwo LeMew, which will be amazing. The next episode, episode 4, is with one of my favorite MCs that I've ever worked with, and that frequents the Tampa Bay area and beyond, Alistair Graves. Alistair will be on the show on episode 4, so the next episode after this, you can listen to with Alistair. I cannot wait. Alistair and I have been friends for a very long time. Alistair's gotten to do some stuff with me on stage that I would typically never allow a single human being to do, and we'll talk about that when he's on the show. But if you are a fan of Alistair, you will absolutely love that episode. Make sure to tune in and subscribe so you can hear that when that drops. That's episode 4. Episode 5, we just confirmed that we will be bringing on one of my favorite people, Mary Strawberry. Mary and I have done show after show after show after show together over the last few years. And she's hilarious. You will enjoy listening to her, and we're going to get into topics about her past and what she has done in the theatrical world, because some of you who maybe have seen Mary before may not know the full spectrum of the stuff that she has done. So we're going to chat about that. We're going to make a lot of stupid, inappropriate dad jokes and puns, so you want to check that out. That's episode 5. Then episode 6, we'll be inviting on one of my favorite people, Debbie Diablo. Some of you who know about me personally will know why that is an interesting episode, so you might want to tune into that one. But Debbie is an amazing performer here in the Tampa Bay, Orlando, Central Florida area, and is an up-and-coming performer that you will absolutely want to follow. She is an amazing singer, actor, dancer, burlesque performer, designer, all that sort of stuff. So she'll be on the episode. She'll be on episode 6. So episode 5, Mary Strawberry. Episode 6, Debbie Diablo. And we have so many more in the holster ready to go. So just follow me at Burly Nathan on Instagram so you can be updated when all new episodes drop. All right, folks. So now is the part of the show where I have my interview. I'm super thrilled, like I said earlier in the show, to have one of my close friends here on the show. Hey, Ktwo, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you, Nathan?
I am doing so good. Thank you for joining me on the show tonight.
Of course, super stoked to be here. Absolutely.
Cool. So, all right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of you. Tell me about yourself, what you do, who you are, and what makes you tick.
Ooh, big question. So, I'm Ktwo LeMew. I've been performing since about 2010. I started with go-go dancing, started getting into fire, kind of progressed into burlesque after that, became a producer eventually, and yeah, I still do all of the performance things, and I freaking love it.
That's awesome. And we've worked together on quite a few shows, and I absolutely love working with you. And it's really interesting to see the progression of things that you've done, because you just said, obviously, you've done fire, burlesque, all that sort of stuff. When you first got into it, was that kind of what you wanted to do? Like, what was your initial thoughts getting into this biz?
So when I first became a go-go dancer, I actually fell into it. I wasn't really seeking it out. I was kind of pushed into it by a friend, which is kind of funny thinking back on it now. Yeah, because now I love it. It's like one of my driving forces, one of my major creative outlets. Makes me extremely happy, makes me feel very fulfilled, like bringing my form of art to people. And you know, now it's really like a defining part of me, honestly. But when I first started, it was just kind of on a whim. It was really strange.
You know, it's interesting. I've talked to a lot of people in the burlesque world, in the entertainment world, and theater world in general, and that is actually not that different of an entry point. Like, a lot of people say, oh, I just started doing it because I went to a karaoke night and thought, oh, I might be good at singing, or I just showed up to a random open call for something and boom, I have a career now. So surprisingly not that uncommon for somebody to be thrust into something and then make something out of it from there. So that's really cool.
Absolutely.
So funny enough, I actually got a question that was sent in from you know Delicate Flower, right?
Yes.
So Della sent in a question that even a few other people have even asked me, your name, where did it come from?
Oh, Ktwo LeMew. Okay, so K2 is kind of a play on my legal name because my first initial and last initial are K, so K2.
Okay.
And also, you know, the mountains because, you know, I'm like deep like that. And LeMew is actually one of my friends gave me that name. He always called me LeMew. It's just like a cute little nickname between friends. And eventually I just kind of put it together and I was like, okay, K2 LeMew. Like, it's perfect.
All right. Boom. There it is. First question off the bat. That's awesome because, and I love getting to know like performers and how they came up with their personas and all of that. And if you could describe your persona as a performer, what would it be?
Ooh, that's, let's see. My persona as a performer, definitely creepy vibes. I've been not falling a little more into classic, but I've been doing some more classic stuff recently. So right now, because it's ever changing for me, right? Like I've gone through many like phases of my performance,
right.
And started as super creepy, super spooky, Dance at the Castle, all that stuff. And then just kind of started doing more classic stuff. So right now I would say my persona is definitely very sleek, sophisticated, cat-like. Ktwo LeMew, of course, obviously is going to be there, but definitely still the aspects of like kind of creepy, very like sultry. Yeah, I think that kind of wraps up my performance persona right now.
Okay. And as somebody who's seen you do a lot of that, I can attest to that. That's all, because it's interesting because even when the most recent show that I saw you do, which was the Graveyard over at Spookies, even just a couple weeks ago, both of your acts were completely different.
Oh yeah.
And because I remember, I know the topic of that weekend was like classic as well as it being spooky and all of that. So you kind of combined them two together. Because the first act that you did, I think, was the classic one, and then the second one was more that spooky. I think it was like somewhat latexy sort of stuff. Yeah,
it was like vinyl BDSM.
So when you're doing those like in one show, you're jumping from all the gamut, A to Z. You're jumping that completely. What's your thought process with that? Like, do you change how you think before you do each act, or is it just, I know what I'm doing, I can just go out and do it?
Yeah, so I feel like the music is really the driving force for me, honestly, which I'm sure it is for a lot of performers.
Yeah.
But as soon as I hear those first few notes, it kind of puts me in that space, especially after I've rehearsed an act so many times in my house and, done it on stage. As soon as I hear it, really it starts from when I put the costume on. So as soon as I put on that costume, specifically that BDSM vinyl dress, as soon as I zip that bad boy up, I'm like, all right, time to go. Time to be super sexy and intimidating and BDSM and fuck yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like it starts from costuming, honestly, for me, and then music.
That's an interesting thing because I know some people say the moment that XYZ happens, they zone in. So for you, it's getting into the costume, getting into the look, and then the moment the music hits, boom, it's in.
Yes, absolutely. And that is for me with my performer persona as well. Like the moment I start my process, I call it like a ritual of like putting the makeup on, like I do the whole shot, like I go through the whole process. As soon as that starts, I start my transformation into Ktwo LeMew, and it stays until I get off of that gig and I get home and I take the makeup off, and then I'm like, boom, it's done.
Yeah, you don't have to take work home with you.
Right,
at that point.
Exactly.
That's really cool. All right, so when we're talking about your performance persona, we're talking about all of that. I do have some rapid fire questions for you.
Ooh, okay.
That I just want to shoot at you and get your opinions on your thoughts. Okay.
Right.
So this is one that we've actually gotten before, and I've asked a bunch of performers this, and you might have an answer to this. What's the most outrageous costume malfunction that you've ever experienced while being on stage?
Oh, outrageous. Oh my gosh. I just had this pop up in my timeline the other day. I was performing a gig outside, and in the same gig, my shoe broke in half, my shimmy belt broke and stuck to my fishnets, and my wig tried to fall off. And the same act. It was terrible. That was the worst I can think of right now.
Now, when something like that happens, like what's your initial thought? Is it just like a go, go, go? Is it a, oh shit, like combination of all?
Definitely all of them. So in that specific moment, I just kind of like knelt down because I was doing fire too. So I was doing burlesque into fire.
Oh, just a few things.
Yeah, just, just juggling all of these things falling off of me and falling apart. So I kind of knelt to the ground, trying to do my fire eating like sexy. My shoe's like broken in half. I just ripped my other shoe off, like decided to just leave the belt where it was because it's stuck in the fishnets and broken. And then I just like kind of gently like pulled my wig back onto my head, very nonchalant, which, at first, yeah, I was the oh shit for 5 seconds, let the fear in for 5 seconds. And then, all right, adjust, course correct, get it all taken care of immediately. Like, get it together. It's all good. Nobody saw that but me.
And that's when you take everything off at the very end of the act and just light it all on fire.
Exactly.
Just end it. Just finish it off right there. And they'll be like, oh, that was all a part of the act to begin with. I love it. Because I think it shows to the true testament of a performer is what they do when something goes wrong.
Oh, of course.
Because instead of don't hide it, you just highlight it sort of thing. Yes. I've been in the middle of performances before where it's going wrong and I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I might as well just enjoy myself and just try to make it work. So I love when that happens. Because sometimes, you never know. Something that happens during an act might end up turning into like a highlight moment later on.
Oh, yeah.
Like people go, remember when that happened? And you're like, yeah, that was a mistake, but they remembered it and you've just played it off like nothing happened. Exactly. That's awesome.
Yep. Go with the flow. Absolutely.
So now we're talking about malfunctions and mishaps because like a lot of people may think, oh, it's just, it's rainbows and unicorns and butterflies backstage and nothing ever happens and nothing ever goes wrong. And I kind of want to like divulge some of the secrets that might happen backstage.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a backstage mishap that happened during a show, like before you went on, or something happened to you during a production, maybe before or after an act happened?
Ooh, let me think. Backstage, like malfunctions. Definitely had moments where I've seen another performer's fuel spill.
Oh boy. Which
was terrifying because, you have to go into damage control immediately and make sure it's like safe, make sure nobody's costuming got ruined in the process. That's one of the things. I've had my costuming that was like stark white thrown into a big container of fake blood before. That was mine.
Oh,
but that kind of happened, and that was one of the things I was like, oh no. And of course, I fixed the shirt, but that was one of the things that I was like, oh my gosh, this is a huge major mishap backstage, and like no one's gonna know because we're not gonna tell them. We're just gonna continue on with the show because everything's fine.
Just do it, because sometimes they won't know that there's something wrong happening. Like you just go with the flow and just go see what happens.
Exactly.
Now I know I've actually seen you do a few of these before too. What is like the messiest act or performance that you've ever had to do?
Definitely my American Mary act, which I love because it's supposed to be hella gory, and that's part of the reason I made it, because I'm a huge fan of fake blood and I'd like to have it all over me, and it's great and it's the creepy thing. So yes, like I'd pour a shitload of blood on me. The first time I did that was in one of Maven's Misbehavin' shows. First time I premiered that act, I filled my whole jar up with fake blood because I had kind of tested it at home, but I wanted it to be like super theatrical for the first time on stage. Poured the whole freaking thing up, dumped it on myself at Iberian Rooster, and it got like all over in my bin, thankfully, but then it like kind of splashed onto the floor, and I was like, oh shit. But yeah, since then I've kind of learned how to control my blood pours a little easier. Not as much,
I was actually at that show.
Yeah.
And I remember, I can't remember what the theme was, probably murder or something.
Yes.
And I remember seeing that, I was just like, whoa. And then obviously having to remove because I think you do it in like a kiddie pool.
Yeah, I have like a big like aluminum like metal pin thing that I spray painted black that was like from Home Depot or some shit, like a gardening thing, and I was like,
That's
I'm gonna
hilarious.
make this spooky and make it catch blood now.
That's amazing. So when it comes to like, because you said song choices are obviously an instrumental part of developing these acts, do you have like a certain artist, a certain type of music that you gravitate towards the most when it comes to developing these acts?
Yeah, definitely. So I've for more like classic based things, I've been working a lot with postmodern jukebox, because they're just they're the different versions and stuff. They're not like, I know they're traditionally classic, but they're different takes on classic, which I really like. Outside of that, I really love like Deftones, Pussifer, which I use in my BDSM acts. Just very heavily like alternative, like metal, rock, like sexy alternative stuff is my go-to for sure. And also I've noticed recently I use a lot of like female empowerment songs. I've been picking up on that, and I'm like, oh, that was, not intended, but definitely intended at the same time.
Hell yeah, that's great. Because I know obviously music is a huge part of act creation and development. So, and I've seen you do obviously all of those with our live band and with, just general tracks. And it's always amazing. Yeah. Is there a superstition when it comes to being in, theater and burlesque that you subscribe to, that you that comes into mind before you do a show?
Definitely. Well, like a little bit. I'm not superstitious. I'm a little stitious.
Hey.
But like the whole, like when people have told me, break a leg, I'm like, no, say Papa Pasty.
There
like
it is.
That's the one.
I was actually emceeing a show about a month ago, and people were doing the Papa Pasty thing. It happened.
Oh, absolutely.
It was this performer's first time it ever happening to.
Oh,
so I'm like, hey, you manifested it. It happened.
Exactly.
One of my favorite pasty pops ever actually is with our friend Maven Misbehavin'. We were doing a Beatles burlesque show. I can't remember when it was. I think it was like 2018, 2019. And she was doing Lyra during it, of course, naturally. And we were doing it in this brewery over in St. Pete. and they have obviously the giant like brew containers, whatever they call them,
yeah.
in the main area, and we were performing in that area, and she was doing a lyra act, and she had her pasties on, and right in the middle of the act, one of them flew off of her, and then I heard it go ding right up against one of like the big distilling tubs, and she was on lyra at the time, so had to grab a boobie with one hand and still do lyra hanging above us all with one. That was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen.
She's a badass, 100%.
We found the pasty a little bit later on that night. It was on the other side of the whole fucking place, but and you didn't see a dang thing. That's another stage mishap sort of situation, is you never know what's going to happen, and it's how you fix it.
Oh yeah.
Now my last question that I'll talk about, like just rapid fire questions about performing in general. We've talked on the show a couple of times about things that audience members say to us, and like interactions that we have with patrons. What is something either funny or weird or crazy that an audience member has either said to you after a show or like written to you online? I'm sure you probably have a few of those.
Oh yeah. Let's see. So I think the craziest things I've ever heard after or during a performance were honestly when I was dancing at the castle full time, and I had people come up to me and tip me and say all kinds of crazy shit.
Really? One
of the times this lady came up to me inebriated, having a good time. But she came up to me and tipped me, and she was like, I really want to bite your butt. And I just looked at her like dead faced, and I was like, that's how you get pink eye. And I turned around and kept dancing, and I was like, I'm just going to ignore that happened.
That's hilarious. People get so bold when they see
really
shows like this. And like, I don't know what it is, but like I've seen people at burlesque shows and witnessing go-go where they feel like, oh, I can touch this person, or I can be overtly sexual with that person. Little do they know, we're just people at work. At that point. Like, exactly. I know some performers have probably crossed the line, which has then created the stereotype where you can do whatever you want in a strip facility or an actual burlesque show or somewhere like that, where they think, oh, just because you're dancing provocatively or you're dressed a certain way, that it's okay to come say these things or touch a performer when it's not warranted. Has anything like that ever happened to you where you've had to be like, stop, please get the fuck away from me, sort of thing?
Oh yeah, 100%. Again, most of the time it's been during like go-go, like when I was go-going primarily as a source of income or entertainment. Right. More go-go than like burlesque in my very beginning of my burlesque journey. But absolutely, like people would always come up to me and think that they're entitled to like touch me, which happened several times. I did have someone, like a lady, bite me on my butt hard enough to leave like a mark once when I was coming down a ladder from a go-go set. Yeah, that was ridiculous. But yeah, that's definitely happened. It's unfortunate that it's been a thing that does happen. It shouldn't happen. I feel like people are getting better about it, especially at burlesque shows, because we always have, the whole disclaimer at the beginning, like don't touch the performers. We shouldn't have to say that. It's, age of consent, 100%.
Right.
So, I mean, luckily that hasn't happened to me anytime recently. It definitely happened more in the beginning of my go-go journey, though.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful it's not happening as much now.
That's a good thing. I mean, before I ever MC a show, I always will tell the audience that is the first rule, is do not touch the performers. However, in some cases, you being in the building means that you consent to be touched. And obviously we let people know if they don't want to be touched or interacted with in a certain way, they can obviously say, please don't touch me. Mm-hmm. But I'm always like, listen, if you touch any of the performers, I will see you. I am bigger than you, and I will lift you and drag you the fuck out.
Exactly.
And I've had people before that have gotten close, and I've seen some performers even recently that have dealt with a few stray audience members every once in a while, getting a little too comfortable with themselves. And I can understand like heat of the moment things where like if a performer comes near you, the thought to like maybe want to like rest your hand to the side of them. I get it. I understand why people might think that might be okay. Obviously, if they want you to touch them, they'll let you know. If they want you to get involved with like helping a costume peel, I've seen some performers, you might have done it. I've seen you actually literally do it, where you have somebody like help remove the glove or help remove a stocking or something like that. Kind of a kind of like piggyback question on that. Have you ever been in a situation before where like you're going up to an audience member to let them do that and they're like, absolutely not, I don't want to do that?
Oh gosh, I don't think I've experienced that yet.
Really?
Yeah, not yet.
So every audience member, they've been like, yes, please, I want to do this.
Yes,
that's great.
Thankfully, I mean, I would totally be understanding if someone was like, no, bro, I don't want to help you with that. I'd be totally fine, but I can't think of a time that's happened yet for me.
I've seen that happen with two performers once, and actually I was emceeing a show where a performer went right to the front row, the VIP, and was like, would you like to help me? They're like, no, I just want to watch. I'm like, you know what? I can respect that.
That's fair. Enjoy
like,
your time.
I'd rather have that than an audience member rushing the stage. I've literally seen that before too, where we've been in such a packed room and an audience member got like literally on the stage. And I'm like, no, you need to get the fuck off. Like, let us have our space.
Exactly.
We're just working. I'm not going to come into your place of business and stand right where you work. That ain't going to happen.
Exactly.
All right, so we're gonna move a little bit away from the performance side because I want to get to know you as a person and you as a obviously as a friend. I know a lot about you, but some of our folks may not. So I'm gonna ask you what I'm gonna consider like just non-sacred questions away from the burlesque world. So what is a belief that you have had in your life that has been strong that may have changed over the years as you have grown and evolved as a person?
That's a deep question.
Going for the jugular on this one today.
Right? Oh man, I could go like really, really deep with this, or let me think. Because the first thing that comes to mind is something that's kind of like is probably potentially like a trigger warning kind of situation.
Sure.
So one thing that I used to think like a long time ago, so like trigger warning, like suicide. So I used to believe when I was a lot younger, I obviously didn't have as much of an understanding of the world as I do today and people and like depression and stuff like that. I suffer from depression myself. So I think that in itself has helped me understand a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I used to think a long time ago, that suicide was like a very selfish thing. Like I had heard of people like leaving this world through suicide. And like, it was always something where I was like, I can't believe they would do that to their family members and their friends. And like, it's awful. And like the older I got, and the more I had run-ins with that with friends and family members and things like that, I kind of realized I started to understand more like it's not like a super selfish, like they're just in that place where it's that difficult for them to be here that they can't be here anymore. So that's definitely something that I've changed my outlook on since I've, been here.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, I've experienced it in my personal life as well, and it's tough. But I wouldn't ever necessarily, like you said, blame that person for the actions that they had to take, because I mean, obviously that's the ultimate decision, right?
Of course, exactly.
So allowing people, and it's also okay to be upset when it happens, but I mean, don't take it out on the person.
Exactly, yes.
So this probably won't be as deep as that one, but what is a big risk in your life that you have taken?
A big risk I have taken. Let's see. Probably. It's kind of silly, but like going to Burning Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I have heard that going to Burning Man is obviously something you should like prepare for, train for. Like, because it's not an easy thing.
Oh, no.
For folks who don't understand that, what does that mean?
So going to Burning Man, I mean, like the first possibility is you could die, and they literally tell you that like if you come out here you literally could die, which people die out there all the time. Every year somebody dies out there.
Wow.
But my biggest risk involving going to Burning Man, the first time I went, I was working a full-time job. I had just recently started my BFA progress and was going to USF, and one day I woke up and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be a corporate slave like the beginning part of my adult life. I want to like have fun and experience life, which is also when I started to dive more into my performance career. Nice. So I decided that I was going to put in my 2 weeks notice and quit my job and go to Burning Man and then just go to school and perform full time. So I did it, and that was a huge risk, and I'm glad I did it. It was a great decision. I got to, do some early living. Got to go to Burning Man in my prime, got to jump into my performance career, and it was a huge risk. It could have gone very south. I could have died at Burning Man, right. But I'm still here. And I mean, it really launched like my self-esteem, my creative, self, honestly. And it kind of put me on that path to be like more, like just to be brave, essentially.
Okay, that's cool. Now, what are some of the things that like somebody could expect to do when they're at Burning Man? Like, what was your favorite part of your experience?
I love the art out there. I know, there's people that go out there to, do their like psychedelics and stuff, which is cool. That's not the path I take. I've got plenty of friends that do that. They look like they have a blast. I'm really happy for them. Sure. I go out there for the art, honestly, because I have a BFA in photography and sculpture and performance art, and being out there, it's the largest collection of art from all over the world that you can find in the desert, in the middle of the desert. And it's beautiful. And like there's huge installations you couldn't put anywhere else. People light shit on fire. It's great. It's like phenomenal. So I go out there for the art. They have music, they have art cars, people like with mobile parties that go around, all kinds of fire spinning, all kinds of performance art. They have symphonies that come out there. It's phenomenal. Like anything you could possibly want, you can find out there, art wise.
That's amazing. And we love to collect art. I mean, in my house, we have so many different random art pieces, and going to Burning Man is something that I've always wanted to do because I've seen photos and I've seen videos of the experience, and that's something I'm going to condition for and try to do in my 30s before I graduate my 30s.
I like suggest everyone to go once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big commitment, like financially, responsibility wise, like planning to get out there takes a lot, but and surviving out there takes a lot, but it's worth it. It really is, because like it's like a life-changing experience, honestly.
That's crazy. And I mean, now for somebody like me, because I kind of suffer from like claustrophobia in large crowds, and like that's really not something that I do. Like I don't really go to music festivals that often because I'm just that guy who sits at the back. I'll drive you to and from. I'll be your Uber. But like if somebody like me wanted to go, what would be some advice that you would have?
Definitely have like your safe space, like your camp for sure. They have open camping, which is not like part of theme camps, which would probably be really good for a first timer, honestly, because you're way in the back. You can get away from all of the noise, all of the craziness, and just kind of have your space to like decompress and kind of like center yourself again. I'm also like that. I'm very like, I get overwhelmed by large amounts of people, and I'm introverted by nature, which, you know, some people wouldn't understand that or believe it because of my performance stuff. But I definitely like, I find myself having those moments out there where I'm like, okay, I've had enough input. I need to go and like decompress, and I'll go sit at my camp and I'll just hang out, you know, have a beverage, take a nap, or I'll just go bike ride in the desert in the middle of the open playa and just look at a bunch of art by myself. And I'm not surrounded by people. I don't have to have conversation if I don't want to. So it's nice. Like while you're out there, you don't have to constantly be conversing with people and surrounded by people. You can find moments of like yourself and your silence and still appreciate like all of the art and the beauty that's around you.
Sold. All right, cool. I will let you know when I'm going. We'll all go as a group. It'll be fun.
I'm down.
All right. So another question that I have, and actually you kind of almost stole the question. What is a common misconception that people maybe will have of you as a person and like you and your performance persona?
Okay, so a couple of things. Definitely the introvert extrovert thing for sure, 100%. I am super introverted. I keep extroverted friends around me for my safety nets. So that's nice. That's one of them for sure. I have moments where I like to be social and stuff like that, but when I'm done, like I'm done. Like my battery is done. I need to go home and recharge in the dark by myself.
I feel that.
But outside of that, let's see. One thing I have been thinking about with misconceptions of me being a performer has been like me being open regarding like sexuality and like conversations about stuff like that, because I know obviously I'm very sultry, like I look very sexual sometimes when I'm performing, as we all do, I'm sure, as burlesque performers, because that's part of the job,
right? But
realistically, like at my home life and my personal life, I'm like a very like, I'm not prude, but I don't have those conversations with like everybody, and I'm not like super like outwardly spoken about all that kind of stuff. Even though I'm a very sex positive person, I'm also very like, I don't kiss and tell, you know.
Yeah. Hey, that's great. I know people that are the complete opposite.
Oh yeah, and that's awesome.
You know, it's good to know what your comfortability level is, and that's, I think, once again, a huge misconception about people who work in the adult business, the sex business, is that that's what they are 24/7, and 9 times out of 10, it's work.
Exactly.
It's just another form of income generation. Now, here's a fun question: how do you stay true to yourself in a world that is ever changing?
How do I stay true to myself? I definitely stick with like my morals. I'm sure that's probably not something that people mostly deviate from, but I'm very like, I stick to my morals. I'm very true to myself. I've been and continue to be very outspoken about things that I feel are morally wrong. I'm pretty much always, you know, correcting people on my pronouns, which is one thing that I've had to learn to do a little more as I get older and, you know, go through the ever-flowing changes of my gender identity. And So yeah, I think those are the two major things, is like staying true to myself, being outwardly outspoken about things that upset me or I feel that are wrong, and just kind of, sticking to my morals through my actions, my words, and just the ways I move through life.
Yeah, that's great. And for those who do not know, what are your pronouns?
Oh, they, them. I am non-binary.
Beautiful. And now, okay, so actually I kind of have a question on that I've actually asked my friends that are non-binary before. And because for people who are listening to the show who maybe aren't very familiar with non-binary folks and how that works, when it comes to when you're presenting a certain way, if people may say, well, you seem like you're presenting, masculine, you seem like you're presenting feminine. If somebody was to misgender you while you're out in the wild, as they would say, what is your initial reaction? Because I know some folks have that initial reaction of, how dare you? And I know some people have the initial reaction of, let me educate. Like, how do you navigate those waters?
Definitely. It honestly depends on my energy level and mood sometimes,
sure.
and closeness to the person or the situation. But for the most part, I prefer to educate, because I know with non-binary, obviously, there's no way to present non-binary, because it's not on the binary. You can't present one way. I've had someone say that to me before, oh, well, I didn't know because you're presenting feminine. And I asked them, well, what would you expect someone non-binary to present as? Like, generally just coming from curious, wanting to know. Didn't get an answer, but
sure.
Because it's like impossible. But I do try to go the path of educating people and like helping them understand, if they're willing to, time, interest, mood, all of those things. Because if someone is just kind of like looking to fight or looking to, say the wrong thing, those are the times where I just kind of let it go. And I'm not going to be offended by it, because they're in their own way, and that's going to work for them, but they won't be a part of my life. So that's all that matters.
It's not even worth it. And you can usually tell when you're having a conversation with somebody pretty early on if they're going to respect what you're going to say, or if they're just going to be like, fuck off, I don't really give a shit. I don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
It's now, have you ever dealt with somebody who has gotten over something so small as just you saying who you are and how you are? Have you ever had like a negative reaction from somebody because of that?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I've had people in person, maybe not as well. Online, it's happened more, obviously, because people hide behind a screen and a keyboard, and they think they can say whatever they want, which they do. Which it's whatever. Again, that's their world they're living in. Not my problem. That they're not going to be a part of mine. But I have had instances in person where I've told people, I'm actually non-binary, and then people just kind of like ask why, and I can understand they're coming from curious in those aspects. But then when the conversation kind of turns to like they're being kind of sarcastic and asking why in those aspects, I kind of I have exited those conversations. Like, okay, you're not trying to understand, you're just asking to kind of try to like offend me, and I'm good. I'm not going to do it.
Right. And like, I don't really understand that. Like, I don't know why people give a shit. Like, to be honest with you, like, I am happy with whatever my friends want to do, and I will support them to the ends of the earth. I just can't get into the mindset of the people who want to argue. Makes no sense to me. Why?
I feel like some people are just, they're miserable and they want company in their misery, and they need drama because there's something unfulfilled in their life or something unresolved in their life. They need to seek out like conflict somewhere. So that's, again, I'm not subscribing to it. I'm not jumping into that pot of bullshit.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. It's not even worth it, because chances are their mind is made up. Exactly. And that's where it's going to stay.
Yep.
What's a piece of advice that you have been given in your life at some point that you still hold on to?
Don't take everyone's advice as gospel.
There it is. That's good.
Yeah, that's something I was told a long time ago by a family member. And since then, I've found that to be very true in my normal life, in my performer life, in my corporate life. Absolutely 100% of the time, not every piece of advice you get from somebody is going to be what you need to follow. Somebody might seem like they're a high up person, or they're very successful, and they give you a piece of advice, and that piece of advice could be garbage, or it just could not work for you personally. So I feel like that was the best piece of advice that I was given, is not to trust all advice.
That is great. I mean, and I've seen that happen before, and advice can evolve too. Yeah. Because obviously if somebody tells you to do something a certain way, and then as the world progresses, the viewpoints change, and yeah, I mean, that's solid.
Yes.
Solid advice to question things.
Yes, always be questioning, 100%.
Yeah, just don't stick to what, how you've learned it at one point. Obviously, things will evolve as you go.
Yes.
Okay, so I also love to ask all of my guests this as well. Do you have any victories, little victories, big victories that have happened in your life recently that you're excited about?
Yes. So I got a new car.
Yay!
Yeah, for
nice.
the first, my first new car, my first new to me car. Because all my cars in the past have been like hand-me-downs or,
Sure.
they were like older. I had the same car for 10 years. It was an '02
Oh, wow.
Toyota. So, it ran. It was doing good, but she started to break down. And I was like, damn it, man. It's time. I have to adult up and get a new car. And I did. And I did the thing. And I was really proud because, like, I saved my funds and, like, worked my ass off and got a new to me car. I got a 2021 Toyota. Yeah.
Nice.
So I was like, hell yeah. Super stoked about that.
We are a Toyota family here. Yes. We will swear by them. Especially, like, I got a RAV4 about a year and a half ago as soon as we moved into our house. And for gig life,
oh yeah.
so good.
Oh, yeah.
So good. Super reliable. Always lots of space. Okay, so this is kind of because we're getting into Valentine's week, as commercial as that is. But, I mean, it is a good time to celebrate love and to celebrate, who you are as a person.
Yes.
So how do you personally define love?
Ooh, how do I define love? Wow, that's a big question. I feel like I define love as having. That's hard because
I know, right?
I've loved my pets. I love my family members. I love. How do I define love? That's like something.
Age-old question,
right? Something or someone you would literally do anything for. You don't come from selfish doing things for that person or that animal or anything like that. Just something or someone that you are there for all the time, not coming from selfish, because
Sure.
People do things for other people and they can come from selfish reasons, but I feel like just being completely selfless and doing things and being there for that person or that animal or that thing, that's how I define love. That's like the broad spectrum of how I define love.
Sounds great. Now, on that same topic, because I know people have talked about love languages and whatnot, what are yours?
Touch.
Really? Without even a thought, just boom.
Yeah, 100%. I've had to do a lot of soul searching without this last year, but like touch, physical touch, honestly, like is my number one love language. Outside of that, probably like words of affirmation with, my partners. Just those two are and then quality time is definitely a very, very close like second, third to like
Sure.
words of affirmation, but physical touch has always been a thing, and it's nice because I've had conversations with other friends of mine and stuff like that where, we kind of have realized as we get older and go through relationships that it's nice when you find someone who can speak your love language fluently and you don't have to beg them for that and you don't have to ask them for that constantly, and it's just freely given. And it's like, I wish everybody can experience that once in their life, that their love language is something they don't have to ask for, that it's just immediately offered to them. But yeah, for me, touch.
That's amazing. Good to know. Alrighty, so those were the hard-hitting, deep questions. Now we're going to jump back into your performance life a little bit. What gigs do you have coming up? Anything exciting that our audience should know about?
Yes, Wednesday, Valentine's Day, I've got Orbit 19 show, Hearts and Farts, produced by the lovely Nicole Raven.
Hearts and Farts?
Yes, it's comedy
Delightful.
and burlesque. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be so much fun. So it's going to be myself and Nicole Raven performing burlesque, and Clark Brooks and Roger Nelson performing comedy. I think Nicole's actually going to do some comedy too, maybe.
Really?
Yes,
That's
it's going to
awesome.
be a fun, eventful, sexy Hearts and Farts night at Orbit 19.
Hearts and Farts night. I absolutely love that. That's so cool. Now, when it comes to like doing gigs and picking shows, I know you're pretty selective with the kinds that you do. Do you find yourself these days applying for more? Are you just getting calls to do more? Like, what's a normal booking schedule for Ktwo LeMew?
So recently I kind of took an unintentional but maybe subconsciously intentional hiatus for a little minute there last year, just sorting out my personal life shit. But it's been more getting calls from people who want me to perform for them. I have, applied for things and, of course, like we all get, denials for this reason and that reason, or we get accepted, which is exciting and fun. But these days I have been being called on more to perform. I haven't been putting myself out there as much, partially because I work a lot and
Sure.
I'm also like, having to sort out my family life and stuff like that. So That's been the main reason I haven't been submitting more, but I have been getting called, which I really, really appreciate. I love it. Anytime someone hits me up and they're like, hey, I want you to perform for this thing, it makes my heart flutter. And I'm just super stoked that people still want me to be in their shows.
Of course. And I'll actually draw attention to that because you were recently called in for a show. The one that I saw you in recently. Did you have 3 hours notice?
Yeah.
Just about.
I was doing a self-care day and a home improvement day. I was leaving Home Depot with a bunch of flowers in my backseat, and I got a call from Alistair Graves, and he was like, hey, do you want to perform in this show? You've got a couple hours. I was like, let me think on it for 30 minutes and call you back. And I called him back 15 minutes later. I was like, I'll do it.
That's great. I love that because I heard about that earlier because our lovely Miss Marina Lane got sick that night and unfortunately couldn't make it. And I know she's feeling better now.
Yay.
I'll actually be doing a show with Miss Marina Lane in 2 days. So you got your Valentine's show. I will be on the other side of the world in Sarasota hosting a Valentine's Day show there too. I remember hearing that because I was coming to that show that night anyway, and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, Marina unfortunately is sick, but K2's jumping in. And I'm like, of course K2 is jumping in and we'll do a great job. And you did.
Thank you.
Obviously you and I work together. You've done my Night of Classic Burlesque show at least once, twice.
I get in the first one. I love those shows. They're beautiful. Yeah. I was just at the Palladium last night for an actual show, and I was like, damn, oh, really? Those shows were so cool. Yeah, I saw the Fleetwood Mac cover band. They were good.
Nice. Yeah, the Palladium does a lot of amazing shows, and I'm glad that you've been a part of them. And you've worked with us in many capacities. We did a lot of shows when Maven was here together, and we've done some atmosphere shows and things together, and it's always a ton of fun. Now, how can people follow you and keep up to date with the things you've got going on?
Yeah, so I've got Instagram, which is at KTWO_LEMEW, Ktwo LeMew, and then I've got Facebook, which is just my name, Ktwo LeMew, spelled the same way.
Fabulous. Well, thank you for being here with me tonight on the third episode of the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Nathan. It was great.
All right, so now is the moment during the show when we're going to talk about our sponsor, AdamandEve.com. Are you ready to turn up the heat in the bedroom and make sparks fly? Well, buckle up because we've got an offer that'll make your heart race and your pulse pound. Oh, that was very good. It's time to saunter on over to AdamandEve.com right this instant. Why? Because Adam and Eve is rolling out the red carpet with a sizzling 50% off just about anything your heart desires. But here's the thing. Hold on to your hats. The fun does not stop there. When you nab one item, they'll add a dash of spice with not one, not two, but 3 bonus seductive surprises and 6 free movies to set the mood. And that's not all. Adam and Eve understands the importance of discretion, so they're shipping with more secrecy than a secret agent on a mission. Now, guess what? Free shipping on your entire order. Yep, you heard that right. No matter the size of your purchase or the depth of your desires, everything will be wrapped and delivered discreetly for free. So, what are you waiting for, you lovebirds? Let's inject some passion and bliss into your boudoir. Simply shimmy on over to AdamandEve. Okay, I love all these puns that are in this ad. So let's inject some passion and bliss into your boudoir. That's insane. Simply shimmy on over to AdamandEve.com and pick your poison. It could be a tantalizing new toy or whatever floats your pleasure boat. Enter offer code BURLEY at checkout and you will unlock a tantalizing 50% off nearly any item. Plus, you'll get 10 free gifts. That's 3 bonus gifts, 6 free movies, and complimentary shipping, all yours for the taking. Remember, use offer code BURLEY, that's BURLY, at AdamandEve.com. This exclusive offer is hotter than a jalapeno, so don't let it slip through your fingers. Once again, the puns in this ad are ridiculous. Use promo code BURLEY to not only unleash this discount and the freebies, but also enjoy 100% free discreet shipping. So you just use promo code BURLEY, BURLY. So what's holding you back? Go to AdamandEve.com right now, use promo code BURLEY, and ignite the flames of passion in your love life today. And just like that, that's a wrap on episode 3. I just want to say a big thank you to my great friend Ktwo LeMew for being here and having an awesome conversation with me. Make sure to follow K2 on all the platforms. You will not be disappointed. They're one of my favorite performers, always comes in clutch, and I'm honored that they were here for my 3rd episode of the show. Once again, follow us anywhere you listen to podcasts and leave a review. If you want to reach out to me on social media, always happy to chat at Burly Nathan on TikTok and Instagram. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you again on episode 4.